Hey, what's up? It's B the Installer, and I'm here to install the LG G1 Gallery Series OLED, something a lot of people have been asking me to do. And I'm going to show you how to do that by putting a Legrand low voltage panel behind the TV, so you'd have easy access to power and something like an Nvidia Shield or Apple TV 4K, or even if you had a Samsung frame, this would work with that One Connect box. So stay tuned, let's figure out how to do that and we'll make it look clean. What's up guys, it's B the Installer. I'm here to show you how to install the LG G1 Gallery Series TV flush against the wall. And that look is very ideal for a TV installation. But the downsides to that is that you have to have a place to put your power outlet and your HDMI cords or media devices, because all of those things typically have some depth to them and can be a problem if you have a TV perfectly flush against the wall. So we're going to go over all these steps by introducing a Legrand low voltage panel, which can sit flat against the wall, though it does take up some space inside the wall. And I'm going to go over how to know where to put that and if you can put it in your wall. And then I'm going to show you how to mount that LG over that and make it look nice and clean. Make sure you smash the like button when you find the video useful, and also consider subscribing and setting the notification bell to all so you're notified when I upload a new video or if we go live and help answer questions. So the first thing is unboxing the TV, and I'll go over more about the TV at the end, but it's a very clean looking TV. It's as thin as I've seen any OLED under like $10,000, and that comes with some pluses and minuses. On the positive side, it does have all the HDMI ports on the bottom, and that means that you can run those cords very easily down the back and to the bottom of the TV. So if you don't want to run the cords inside the wall, you could still leave them external, and that would be no problem. But the downside is if you were to put a VESA pattern mount on the back in these 4 holes, then you'd have a bit of an issue because you'd lose that flat look. And that's kind of what you're paying for with the G1. And then inside the box, you get a TV mount with the TV instead of feet. So if you want to get the feet and put it up on a stand, you have to purchase those separately. But this mount isn't your typical VESA or VESA mount like you would get for a normal TV online. LG has had a couple different variations of their own style mounts that sit really tight to the wall, and then they come out a little bit, but they don't turn significantly. I'd like it to be a little larger. I think that they could use more space in the back of the TV to make this a more solid mount, which I'll show you at the end. But no question, it can hold the 77, the 65, and the 55-inch TV size. This template that I'm cutting up is so big, it has the 77, the 65, 55, so I had to cut it all up to get the size of this 65-inch TV. And it's a bit annoying because realistically, I know from installing a lot of these TVs that I could just measure from the top of the TV to the top of the bracket, and that's really all I need. So now that I have the template on the wall exactly where I want it to be, knowing that this is half of the size of the TV and the other half will be at the bottom, I can see the mount goes right in the middle. And the cross section of where it hits the studs works out perfectly for me. As with any lag bolts or screws you're going to put in the wall, you want to pre-drill a hole that is the same size as the diameter of the bolt you're going to use, less the size of the actual threads. So I'm all set up now. Since I have the TV mount level, I'm going to go ahead and screw the top 2 bolts in first. Because if you drill all 4 holes and then 2 of them are off, it kind of makes the mount cockeyed and it doesn't go level. So we're going to go ahead and do the top 2 first, pre-drill those. And unfortunately, this TV mount makes it so that you're really at the ends of the mounts. And just because I wanted to be a little extra safe, I threw on another washer because I wanted to make sure that those bolts don't suck through the mount. Now, the bolts that they give you should be sufficient. You don't necessarily have to use a washer, but I just wanted to add the washer for safety. And I would highly recommend using a ratchet and a socket versus using the screw drive bit in the middle. It's much easier to tighten with the socket and ratchet than it is to try to drive these in with a screwdriver. And make sure to hand tighten them at the end because you don't want to over tighten and snap the heads off the bolts. And once those top 2 are in, go ahead and pre-drill your bottom 2 holes now that the mount's there and you can see exactly where they go. And then once you're done with that, go ahead and drive those bottom 2 bolts in as well. And really, that's all you have to do to install the actual bracket on the wall. But before I hang the TV, I have to get that Legrand low voltage box in the wall. So now I'm going to show you the entire process of putting this low voltage box in the wall, and at the end, I'll hang the TV and kind of go over my thoughts on the LG G1. So this Legrand box is kind of large for putting it in the wall. You don't have to get one quite this large. You could get away with one half the size. You could even get something like a recessed power outlet that has a combo and HDMI cord that can run down it. But the whole goal of putting something like this in the wall is to have it housed behind the TV, have it perfectly flat with a cover over it, and then be able to pull your TV in and out at will, and then get behind this if needed, change the product out, whatever you got to do. So this box does have room for you to run low voltage wiring through it, and it also has room for you to put power outlets on here. I'm going to use one of these single gang electrical boxes along with a 15 amp electrical outlet, and I have 15 amp Romex, which is 14.2, which is normal for residential buildings in California. Unless there's 20 amp circuits, then you need to use the 12.2. Make sure you check with your electrical code where you are and make sure you have the right materials. So the TV is actually 32.5 inches tall, and it's only about 3 inches up from where this mount sits, give or take, 3.5 inches. Then there's also a channel in the back of the TV, and where that channel goes horizontal across the TV, it's 10 inches from the bottom is the bottom of that channel. So if I have this box that has an opening toward the bottom here, around that 10-inch mark, then the cords can just sneak right into this box. So if I want to have the bottom at 10 inches and this is 29 inches, I'm just going to measure down 19 inches, make a mark, and that's roughly where I want the bottom of this box to sit. So I'm going to put a level on the bottom of that box. I'm going to level it up, and then I'm going to use a pencil to draw around so I know where to cut, and then we'll go to the next step. So what's really important is that you cut along this line in a level fashion so you can get the top and the bottom cut from side to side, and then we're going to cut along the stud. Now make sure that there's no power. I think that the power is on this side here, so that could be problematic. Now I also ran a stud finder down here, and I realized that there may be a fire block down low, so you may get to see the bonus of us putting this in and getting through a fire block, which a lot of people have asked me for too. So let's go ahead and cut this out and see what's behind the wall. It's a surprise to me. Maybe this won't work, maybe it will, and we'll find out. Make sure you use a handsaw. You don't want to use a power saw on the wall and cut pipes or electrical. You're gonna have issues. You can always feel things a little easier. You start to feel tension with the handsaw, so use the handsaw. So now I'm going to cut vertically, and hopefully you get the same result, that you can cut all the way out and just take this piece off. So as I've revealed where I'm going to be installing this, I run into some problems. One, we have some sort of fire blocking slash, holding up the plaster. There's an old line that I don't really care about in there, so that's okay. I don't really mess with that. And then in the back, there's also a 1x6 there. So a lot of issues in this area. I'm still okay. I'm going to knock this piece out of the way. If I have to cut it, I'll cut it. I'll do that in rapid fashion. And then the box should fit right in there, and we're good from there. So when you have a box like this, you can put it in a couple different ways. You can actually connect it to the studs on each side, or you can use these little flip togglers here and suck them tight to the drywall, which is what I'm gonna do. Before I can put this in, I actually have to run the wiring. So I'm gonna put an HDMI on the wall, I'm gonna put an electrical wire in the wall, and then I'm gonna have another HDMI with my Apple TV 4K that's gonna sit inside this box. So that way I'll always have the Apple TV here behind the TV that will be my media device, and if I need to connect one of the game systems to this to review this TV, it'll be easy, and then that wire won't show below the TV. So I'll show you how I do the electrical. Make sure you turn the electrical off. I have battery powered lights, so you're gonna see everything. Make sure the breaker's off, make sure you're safe, make sure you're qualified to do this, and follow along. So I have a double gang box, and the stud is on this side of the wall. I know this because if I look up, that's where the TV mount is. It's on the outside of this stud, which means there's a hole over here where I can actually put this low voltage box in and have the HDMI cord come out, and then I'll use this to navigate the other wire up to our hole for our other low voltage panel. And I'm gonna do that wiring first, get that all set, and then we'll put that box in. So while checking this out, I actually realized that this is a 20 amp fuse and this is 12-2 Romex. So I am gonna have to manipulate a little bit thicker Romex through there. So I'm gonna go ahead, make my low voltage box. Then I have a GFCI outlet that I can put in that's 20 amp and cover plate it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a little bit more space in here so that I can get that wiring in this box. So we have the circuit breaker turned off, and now I've made a box. So now I can run my electrical wire into this hole. If I want to fish tape down to this hole and take the HDMI and the electrical up the hole, I can do that, and then just feed the electrical into this box. Then we'll go up and install the panel, come back down, tag the electrical, push it all back together, and fire it up. So this is one of those instances where you kind of need two cameras. I'm gonna fish tape down the hole, or you can fish tape up, either way, but there's a lot of junk kind of in this area, so I'm gonna fish tape down. And then with some insulation and some garbage in the way, so now we got that done. So now I can take and run the 12-2 Romex, which is thicker, and it's a higher gauge wire in order for more current to run through this electrical circuit. So you gotta make sure that you match it up correctly. And then we'll connect it to this GFCI outlet. I don't necessarily need the GFCI, it's not near water, but it's the one that I have in this instance, and so we'll use it. So I'm gonna run this HDMI 2.0, it's 18 gigabits per second, does 4K UHD and Dolby Vision. So I'm gonna run this power cord and HDMI up together. I normally put the HDMI on first because it's a longer pull, and then I put the electrical behind it. That way, you don't have to pull so much electrical out because that's the last thing through. So I have it connected, tape this end, so when it goes up, it's gonna pull that end. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up the wall. So now I have the electrical and the HDMI up here, so now we can actually insert the box and get it all wired up. I'm gonna pop this hole right here out, and then I'm gonna fit this box in there. So that hole right there is actually smaller than this box, so I may have to cut out a little bit more plastic, but that's okay because these little flippers here are gonna grab to hold this plastic tight, so I don't need to screw where those screw holes are right there. That would be for a metal box. There we go, knocked out that hole. Now I gotta see if my box fits. The answer is no, it doesn't really fit. So basically to make this fit, I gotta make it go about as wide as these two pieces there. So I'm gonna have to actually cut it out to this area right here in order to get that blue box to fit. Again, you can avoid this by just using a metal box. I don't have any metal boxes with me, but we're gonna do this real quick. So I've tested the box to make sure this box fit. Okay, now I've run the HDMI cord through one of the holes. Now I gotta fit this box in here. And once I do, then I'll put this box inside there and cinch it up. So before you saw that I had this in already once, it fits. Let's make sure it gets back into the spot that it needs to go. And we'll go ahead and cinch these up. Make sure you don't over tighten them too much because they can snap off and then it kind of renders your box useless. Once you feel them start to tighten up, stop, there you go. And then do opposite corners. Make sure it's in far enough so it catches that drywall. Otherwise, it'll just start bending right off the bat. That side's good. Gotta grab a hold of something, make it even. There we go, and then the last corner. This bottom corner, it seems to be stripped, which is okay. There's not much room in there, but I felt underneath there, and for some reason it's stripped. So I'm just going to send a drywall screw to pinch this left side. So I'm just going to pick any spot in the middle here where I know it's going to go into that stud. Push it back flat. And there we go. So now that side's flat. This thing is solid as a rock. So now that dual low voltage, high voltage box is in here, and I'm going to squeeze down this electrical outlet into this area and cinch it up. Now you could use a metal box like it suggested. It's just a little harder to manipulate a GFCI outlet with this thicker wire in there. So I chose to use an old work box and just do it the old-fashioned way. Connect it to this by screwing those flippers tight, and I can feel through these other holes to make sure everything's working. That's nice and tight. And on this side, I'll do the same. There you go. I'm not going to go through the whole process in detail of how to wire a power outlet. I made a video on how to hide the TV wires. You can check that out. But I'm going to go ahead and speed through this, get this ready, and then we'll go back down the bottom, cinch it up, and put the cover plates on. Alright, so we have the power outlet in, we have the HDMI cord in. Now we have to put this cover on. The cover comes with 4 screws here that we'll put on these 4 corners. It goes right in here, and then you have the optional cover. And just to show you, I'll put this cover on and then we can get to the bottom. So that looks awesome. It's all done up here. We'll have to do the electrical down below real quick. I'll just cinch it up so that we can hang the TV and show you the finished product. So as you can see, there's a little mess right here. This can be fixed with some drywall repair. I do have 2 different kind of wall plates that I got. This is a brush wall plate that looks nice here for the HDMI cord to come out of. And then I got a bigger double gang wall plate for the one that I broke here. So that should kind of cover up some of that drywall mess, but I'll fix that drywall later. So I'm gonna go ahead, put these 2 plates on, and then we'll hang the TV. So right before I hang the TV, I'm gonna get whatever I need in this box now. I'm gonna make it so just that HDMI cord comes out and goes up to the TV. I'll still have to put the TV power cord back in here to have those 2 things powered up. So I'll do that at the end and show you just the finished product, but more or less, I wanna get what I need in there now so that it's not so difficult to do later. So we have the low voltage box and we have the TV mount up. We're pretty much good to go. But I want to just tell you about this mount before we hang the TV because it's kind of hard to see. You have to get the two knobs on the top back of the TV into this area right here. So you have to flip back these metal pieces. Those metal pieces are pretty difficult to lock and unlock once the TV's up. So you pop it in, you can pop it out from here, but once the TV's on there and you lock those, it's kind of difficult to get your fingers back here and disconnect those mechanisms. They give you these plastic pieces that you can line up on the TV and line up on top of this metal, but they're like very thin, cheap plastic pieces that just don't do any good. So the best way to do it is to have 2 people or 3 people and actually feel the knobs through the back of this mount as you're bringing it in, or get it close and then feel and then talk about it's got to go up, it's got to go in, down. Once it's set and you can feel that both of the knobs are in this area here, then you can let go of the weight of the TV and you feel that it's secured. Then you can just pop these 2 in and the TV can't come off. So I'm gonna grab some help. My wife's gonna help me lift this up here. I'm gonna have a camera from behind and in front and we'll see how it works. Hold on, you're good. Put both hands under it, I got it. Both hands under. That way you got it. So I got the room. You're down a little. It's okay. Come that way a little. There we go. Down. Okay, you're good. Push it back. It's funny. All right, so the LG G1 is on the wall. It looks pretty cool, that's for sure, but it wasn't an easy install. Had to install that Legrand box behind the TV, and now that I've done that, I probably would install a smaller box and probably just run the HDMI cord down the wall and use some sort of stand below it, because putting that larger combo box in the wall made it pretty difficult to get the wires back in there. So if it was a smaller box right in the middle, that would be easier just to run the wire down and plug the TV in. Probably why a lot of people like the Samsung frame, which is very simple in that one wire that just goes to an external box. But if I had to choose a better TV, the LG G1 is a better TV. If I had to choose better art, I'd probably stick with that Samsung frame if you wanted to get art half the time and TV half the time. And this LG G1 mount, pretty wobbly, not much room once you get it on the wall, pretty hard to maneuver. I think LG needs to come up with a better mount for this awesome TV, or just stick with the LG C1 because more or less it's the same TV. Looks pretty cool against the wall, and you can put that on a stand without having to buy extra feet. But in the end, it's a pretty cool installation. I hope you like it. Smash the like button if you do. Make sure to subscribe and set the notification bell to all if you want to catch my next upload or a live stream where we answer the questions. And just remember, with my help and a lot of struggle, you can be the installer.